I woke up to a mariachi band tuning up under my maple tree, not near it, not on the sidewalk, under it in my backyard. 7:30 in the morning, one trumpet coughing out a sour note that rattled my bedroom window like it was personally offended. And that's when I knew whatever kind of day I'd been expecting, it wasn't this one. I pulled the curtains open and just stood there blinking. White folding chairs lined up in military precision across the lawn I'd mowed the night before. A guy in a tux arguing with a woman over the angle of a 3-tier cake. And dead center, right where my tomatoes had finally started to behave like adults, stood a wedding arch draped in gauzy fabric and plastic roses bolted into the dirt like it had always belonged there. At first I thought maybe I'd died in my sleep and this was some kind of suburban purgatory. Then I saw Karen, my neighbor, head of the HOA's event committee. The woman who once reported me for unauthorized hammock curvature, standing in the middle of my yard with a headset on, barking orders like she'd just been promoted to general of other people's property. She looked at home. In my backyard, I went downstairs, slid into my slippers, stepped onto the deck. "Excuse me," I called out, keeping my voice in that polite register you use right before you either explode or sue somebody. "Why is there a wedding rehearsal happening in my yard?" Karen turned hand cup to her mouth like she was announcing a raffle prize. "Good morning. Just a quick run-through before the big day tomorrow. Hope you don't mind." "I absolutely mind," I said flat. "This is my property." She blinked like I'd just informed her gravity existed. "Oh, don't be so uptight. It's only a few hours. You weren't using it." I looked at the grass I'd trimmed. The vegetable patch that took me 4 months. My koi pond now accessorized with floating pink lilies that had not come from me. "Did you ask me?" I said. "Even once. We assumed it'd be fine. The HOA approved it." "That doesn't mean anything," I said. "You can't vote to use my backyard like it's a public park." She waved me off. "Don't be selfish." Selfish. That word rang around in my head while a stranger adjusted a cake knife on a table that used to hold my garden tools. I could have called the cops right then. Could have chased them out with righteous fury and a garden hose. But something, that quiet little voice that shows up when you're about to make a decision you'll savor for years, whispered, "Not yet." So instead I asked, "And what makes you think I'll allow this tomorrow?" Karen smirked. "If you obstruct a community event, the HOA can fine you. It's in the bylaws." Now, I've seen confidence before. I've seen people bluff with a straight face. But this was weaponized delusion. I went back inside, sat at my kitchen table, stared at my coffee like it might offer legal advice. And then I watched. them string lights across my oak tree. Watched a cousin park a van half on my lawn. Watched someone drill tent stakes into the soil like they were claiming new territory. I didn't yell. I didn't warn them. I planned. That night, flashlight in hand, I walked my fence line. Halfway down behind the hydrangeas, I found it a section neatly cut out, patched with a vinyl sheet painted to look like wood. Beyond it, a trampled path leading straight to Karen's yard. She hadn't just borrowed my backyard. She'd tunneled into it. That's when I called my lawyer, left a voicemail heavy with words like trespassing, property damage, forged approval. Called the zoning office, no permits filed. Then I drove 20 minutes out of town to see Dave. Dave's a wildlife removal specialist with a beard that suggests he's had philosophical conversations with raccoons. His place smells like cedar and something vaguely feral. "How many you want?" he asked after I explained. "Enough to make a memory," I said. By noon 6, very alert, very much not descented skunks were riding in the back of my truck. Back home, I set the stage. Cleared out my garden shed, lined it with rugs to muffle sound, positioned the traps near the door, ran twine through a pulley system from the shed door to my deck. One pull, one moment, release. The next day, my backyard transformed into a carnival of entitlement. Photographers, bartenders, a balloon arch guy who looked like life had betrayed him. The wedding cake stored in my garage because Karen's fridge was full. She approached me in curlers and a robe champagne in hand. "Hope you're staying inside tomorrow. Wouldn't want to ruin the pictures." "Oh," I said pleasantly. "I wouldn't miss it." 3:13 p.m., the ceremony began. Guests seated, phones raised. Karen emerged in a gown so fluffy it looked weaponized. The officiant cleared his throat. I stepped onto my deck, pulled the rope. At first, nothing. Then one skunk waddled out tail high. Then another. By the third, a little girl pointed and said, "Kitty." That was the last innocent sound of the afternoon. The first scream came from a groomsman. A tray of shrimp hit the grass. A bridesmaid tried to climb a folding chair and collapsed into the cake. The DJ shouted "skunks" into the microphone like it was the apocalypse code word. And then nature did what nature does when surrounded by flailing, screaming humans. They sprayed liberally. Karen tried to command the situation. Remained calm just before a cloud of concentrated regret hit her square in the face. She staggered, veil drifting into my koi pond like a surrender flag. Guests dove into bushes. A man in a baby blue suit slid across the buffet table. Someone yelled, "It touched me like they'd been cursed." From my living room, I watched through hidden cameras tucked into garden gnomes. Justice, I've learned, is even sweeter in high definition. Police arrived 20 minutes in. Took one step onto the lawn, froze. One gagged. "Your property," the taller one asked. "All of it," I said calmly. "Looks like trespassing to me." Karen, mascara streaked, tried to rally. He planted them. "You hosted a wedding in his backyard," the officer asked. She muttered something about HOA approval before vomiting into a fern. I showed them the property map, the cut fence, the footage. "You want to press charges?" the cop asked. "I'd like to start with trespassing," I said. "Then we'll discuss damages." And that's when the twist landed. 3 days later, the city inspector discovered Karen had forged the HOA president's signature on fake permit paperwork. Turns out Sweet Mild Marvin had no idea. He cut a deal with the city and handed over emails, budget records, and one glorious group chat message from Karen that read, "What's he gonna do? Call the squirrel militia." Not squirrels. Close enough. The HOA board dissolved under investigation. Turns out Karen had used HOA funds to pay for part of her wedding rentals. Meanwhile, the skunk wedding video hit the internet. 2 million views in 12 hours. 10 million by week's end. Memes. Reaction gifs. Someone started selling candles called Backyard Justice. Karen tried to sue me for emotional distress. My lawyer countered with trespassing, property damage, illegal assembly. Included invoices, police reports, wildlife permits. Her attorney withdrew within 48 hours. But the real karma, it came slow and quiet. Her fiancé filed for annulment. She defaulted on loans. A foreclosure notice hit public record. At the auction, no one wanted the house. Legend had tainted it. I raised my hand. $1,000. Silence. Sold. I donated the house to a wildlife rescue and rehabilitation center. They turned it into an education outpost focused on humane animal treatment, especially skunks. I asked for one small favor. They named it the Karen Memorial Wildlife Center. The mayor showed up for the ribbon cutting. There was a skunk mascot in a bow tie. Karen left town before sunrise the next week. And here's the thing, somewhere in the middle of all that chaos, I realized something that hit deeper than revenge. It wasn't about the skunks, not really. It was about boundaries. There are people who think confidence equals permission, who believe if they move fast enough and speak loud enough, they can overwrite your lines, your land, your life. And if you let them, they will. But there's a difference between reacting in anger and responding with patience. I could have screamed, could have escalated. Instead, I let entitlement collide with reality. One pull of a rope. Sometimes justice doesn't shout. Sometimes it waddles. Now I sit on my porch evenings, iced tea, sweating in my hand, watching my reclaimed yard bloom again. The old shed's still there. Above it hangs a small plaque. In case of emergency, pull rope. The skunks are back in a reserve living their best pungent lives. The neighborhood's quieter now. No more random fines for lawn color. No more unsolicited events in private yards. Every spring I host a block party by invitation. We grill laugh pass around a carved wooden skunk statue we call the Spirit of Justice. And every year someone says, "Hard to believe this all started with a wedding." I just nod. Because here's the real question. When someone crosses your boundary with a smile and a bylaw in hand, what do? Do you yell? Do you fold? Or do you wait and let the right moment do the talking? I'd love to hear what you think. Was I justified, or did I go too far? Have you ever had someone treat your property, your time, your life like it was theirs for the taking? Drop your story. Tell me where you stand on revenge versus restraint. And if you ever wake up to a mariachi band under your maple tree, well, make sure you know where your rope is.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.